Today's episode, I asked you a very simple question that you should say yes to, and a lot of you are going to say no, which makes me want to kick you right between the uprights. I'll explain more. Noah Lyles joins the long, illustrious list of world-class athletes that are also world-class idiots, and Aaron Rodgers and the Jets Jets are making me believe, baby. They're making me believe, and you should too. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Tricky Guy Sports. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B. What's going on? Football season is only a week away, baby. It's only a week away.
I'm so excited.
I know.
I'm so excited.
It's crazy.
I'm so
Yeah.
scared.
Easy, Jesse Spano. Yes, we are just a week away from the NFL season finally coming around. America's favorite sport. Everyone loves the NFL. College football. Football is back, baby, and in a big way. Lots of things to discuss. Noah Lyles, the sprinter, is also a world-class idiot. I do want to get into that. And I'm going to start off here in a second. I'm going to, ask you a hypothetical, and it's going to be about the value that has been kicked, quote unquote, to the curb here and there. Where and would you value a kicker? Do you understand the importance? It's something that's been a thorn in my side just for a long time, man. I've been talking about this for years, and I still get just unbelievably pissed off at your answers.
Don't get it, do you? You don't.
I'm going to ask you a question, and then we're going to get into the discussion of it, because it really is worth debating, because you guys are just, you're wrong on this one. Yeah, I don't have to be right about everything, but on this one, you're wrong, period, end of story. But, I mean, like I said, NFL preseason done. And yes, are there things that are sexier going on than the kicker? Sure. Are there sexy headlines going on in the NFL that we could discuss? Absolutely. A lot of sexiness going on we could discuss. If you'd like to just kick things off with that, I mean, there's a lot of sexier headlines that are making the rounds here. I mean, first of all, Dallas. That was huge. The Dallas Cowboys trading for Trey Lance, and what pressure does that put on the Dak Prescott contract situation? That's a very sexy discussion. America's team, the quarterback, the little engine that sometimes can and then can't. 49ers must be feeling quote unquote pretty good there about their situation with Brock being willing to give up a top 3 pick just from a couple years ago, even though he has been struggling. That's been an interesting story to kind of focus on and see at the quarterback position in Dallas and San Francisco. Jonathan Taylor is going to remain a puppy cult. He's going to be on the PUP, physically unable to perform list, but he was not traded. He did not get his request done. Apparently, the Colts could not find a suitable trade package to bring back for Jonathan Taylor, so he's going to be stuck with Irsay all year. We'll kind of see how that goes down. Miami Dolphins, Green Bay Packers were even thrown in as possible trades, but it didn't go down. He's staying a Colt. That's very interesting to me. Cincinnati, in an interesting little move, in my opinion, with their backup going with Jake Browning, who took the job over Mr. Simeon, whatever his name is. Anyways, he's gone. And with Joe Burrow's calf being out, the backup situation in Cincinnati is something to keep an eye on, and they're going with Jake Browning. Minnesota, the Vikings, can they keep it cooking with their running back situation, letting Cook go out to the Jetland, and then now with Madison at number 1, fantasy people, that's a guy to keep an eye on. Minnesota's probably going to have to run the ball a lot, looking to make a push this year. Justin Jefferson's contract out there as well, but with no-namers behind Madison, they just signed a Gaskin kid out of Miami today. That's an interesting thing to see what's going on there. The Chicago Bears, the Bears, I thought made a very interesting, sexy move by keeping on the 53-man roster and making him the backup quarterback, Division II from Shepherd, Tyson Bagent, who's the son of an arm wrestler, and it was this whole story. D2 quarterback who was just the stud of all studs in Division II is going to back up Justin Fields, and with the way Fields runs and guns and has to use his legs, that's going to be a very interesting situation there too, as they passed up on veterans like Nathan Peterman and Walker and opted for the D2 kid after just one training camp and a couple preseason games was enough to vault him to the number 2 spot in the Bears, also looking to make a move. You had the New England Patriots, speaking of quarterbacks, and they waived fan favorite Bailey Zappi. That was an interesting situation. Bill Belichick Is he doubling down? I mean, we all know he's a hoodie, stubborn mule. And is he doing kind of proving a point like, I don't need Brady, I don't need all pros, I don't need what the fans want, I can win any way I want to do it. Now, Zappe might be able to come back, but I doubt he makes it through waivers. He showed enough success to where somebody, as there's so many teams looking for backup QBs that are probably going to take, some sort of, I don't know, waiver, pun intended on him. And so what do they do there? Maybe Will Grier, who just got kicked out of Dallas, is interesting to me. Colt McCoy, as we can move on then to the Cardinals, who are clearly tanking, for Caleb Williams. They just cut Colt McCoy, the only guy with any experience or talent really on the roster. We don't know what's, to make of the Houston quarterback there, University of H's Clayton Tune. He's a rookie that's on the roster for them. And then Josh Dobbs, who's done nothing. But it looks like Arizona is almost trying to get in last place so they can get the first pick to get Caleb Williams. Now, will the players and, of course, the coaching staff go along with it? That's always the problem when you try to tank. These guys got pride, man. They're not just going to sit down for anybody. The Jets, by the way, and I will discuss a little bit more, I mean, it's the hard knock effect. I'll give you that. But just from watching them, talk about the sexy appeal of a star quarterback and just the ability to make everyone around them work harder, believe. There's a new atmosphere out there in Jetsland, man. Obviously the AFC is tough sledding, but they're going to be a problem. The Jets are going to be a legit problem there. So that interests me in a lot of different ways there. So, yeah, again, Dallas, Taylor, Cincinnati, the Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, New England Patriots, Cardinals, Jets, all these sexy things that we can get into. And I'd rather ask you a simple question involving something that has frustrated me for a very long time, and I'm going to get to it right now because this is something that I've gone back years with this. I have gone back years with this discussion, and I'm going to ask you this right now, and you're going to piss me off because most of you are going to have the wrong answer on this. For some reason, you all just do not understand or appreciate what I'm going to explain, and so let's just get into it. Simple question. The first thing I used to ask when I was doing sports radio back in the day, I value kickers, and so I would ask people, would you draft a high prospect kicker in the first round? Simple question.
Simple question.
Most people would say no. You know what? There's been some first-rounders that haven't panned out, although Janikowski obviously did, and there's Gay, the kicker as well, the punter. It's not like every first-round pick pans out in general. But, okay, let me just leave that one alone. Let's just say that you don't think any prospect, no matter what, is worthy of a first-round pick as a kicker. I think you're wrong, but, just to move on into it, the next question I would ask you, and, again, simple question, this is actually in a hypothetical, though. This is actually me giving you a crystal ball.
Simple question.
If I could promise you that the kicker that you draft in the first round is going to be either Justin Tucker or Adam Vinatieri, one of the greatest kickers that we've ever seen, who's going to save your bacon multiple times all throughout your, the franchise history that you have him for the next 10, 15 years, you have nothing to worry about at the kicking situation. I have looked into the future. I can see with a crystal ball that you are going to have guaranteed Justin Tucker.
You're psychic. You can predict the future.
I can predict the future. I can give you Justin Tucker guaranteed. Would you take him with the first-round pick? A lot of you still say no, and I really don't. I don't understand how you can be that stupid. I just don't know why people don't value the kicker position the way that you need to. And, there's a lot of teams. This, to me, is more the preseason headline discussion that needs to be discussed is all the moves going on with kickers here. And there's a third, even more frustrating hypothetical I'm going to bring you in a second. But, yeah, the kickers are going through a rough go of it, man. Kickers get no love. And it just doesn't – I don't get this whole – and a lot of times from football players, they only have one job to do. It's one of the easiest things to do in the world. Horse shit. It is one of the hardest, most high-pressure situations, most thankless job, with the only things in sports where you're supposed to be 100% or, God forbid, and then your whole life, your career is over. You can look at like Marr. That's one of the first ones I can discuss, Dallas Cowboys. Let's see. You guys are trying to make a big playoff push, and you're trying to move on into the next rounds, and it looks like, as the season goes along here, we'll see Tennessee, you have the rookie Brandon Aubrey had to cut Vizcaino, who you had brought in. They had an opportunity to draft kickers this year and didn't do it. They were looking at guys like Jake Moody and Chad Ryland, and they didn't feel that they were, quote, worthy of the pick. And I mean, I really struggle with it. I really try to understand why you guys don't seem to really grasp the concept that, I mean, 24% of all games in the NFL from 2022 were decided by 3 points or less, right? Yeah, you do understand that it's a game of inches any given Sunday. They explain to you multiple times, one little thing here, one twist there. A kicker that is of the level of like a Justin Tucker, a 90% career-wise field goal kicker, or even a punter who can give you constantly good field position. The value of that is so just, it's there. And to think that the Cowboys, we're looking after what just happened. After what just happened with Marr. A lot of y'all remember this. Remember Marr last year? This poor bastard caught the yips at the end of the season. He was the all-time season leading point scorer for the Dallas Cowboys with 137 points total and having like a great year. He was one of the best kickers they had in a long time. Then he caught the yips, and I think y'all remember this is the Tampa Bay game.
Brett Maher trying to hit an extra point. He's missed 3 tonight, 4 in a row. And
just caught the yips.
He has done it again.
They might be looking for a kicker next week.
Off one game.
And this is a 24-0 game. That is 4 missed extra points tonight.
Brett Maher for the season was 29 of 32, 50 of 53 extra points. He was the season leader for the Dallas Cowboys. It was one of the most consistent things they had in a world of inconsistency, including their quarterback, Dak Prescott, who finally just has a Trey Lance showing up to give him just an itty-bitty bit of pressure. And, I mean, like you heard, I believe that was Aikman being like, oh, they're going to get rid of him. They're just going to kick him off because the kicker gets no love, gets no respect, and I'm watching it happen again in this offseason. And it's same old story, man. I really don't. 24% of games, 3 points or less. Dallas Cowboys could have drafted a kicker, decided not to. Now they're struggling again. They went with this rookie, Aubrey. But they're by far not the only ones. Cleveland Browns just cut Cade York after just 1 year. They drafted him in the 4th round just a year ago. They just cut his ass, and they traded for Dustin Hopkins with the Chargers, which is insane to give a 4th-round pick 1 year and decide to get rid of him. Los Angeles Chargers, like I said, just traded Dustin Hopkins, the guy that just went to Cleveland. This poor bastard, all he did was when he was playing for the Chargers, converted 4 field goals, including a game winner in overtime in Week 6 of last year with a completely torn hamstring. He was barely able to even walk out there. He still kicked you 4 field goals. He kicked a game winner in overtime. And for all of that, you cut his ass because you can get a rookie who's at a cheaper salary. The Philadelphia Eagles, their poor punter is gone. Aaron Sipos, whatever his name is. He was having also a leg injury issue in the Super Bowl. The poor bastard kicked that one punt that the Chiefs returned, and yes, it was a game, changing level of play as far as it led to a touchdown as they got to the 5-yard line, but also the poor bastard was hurt on one leg and it was one kick. Give me a flipping break. New Orleans Saints also went for a cheap replacement. They parted ways with their veteran kicker Will Lutz for a rookie and group. Denver Broncos, Will C, quote unquote, they just traded for Will Lutz as Elliott Fry and Brett Maher. This poor guy from the Cowboys opened up the camp competing for it. Fry got hurt. He got waived. Maher didn't have a great preseason. He got waived. And so they traded for Will Lutz. We'll see how that works out. He's coming off kind of a tough year. And then the Tennessee Titans. Let me just the Tennessee Titans, let me turn off the dramatic music just so I can make a point here, how rough it is and how important this position is, and none of you assholes seem to pay attention, and it drives me bonkers. The Tennessee Titans just this year are trying to end a 5-year dilemma as they traded for Nick Folk. They traded for Nick Folk, 39 years old, but an 86.5% career field goal kicker. To give you an idea of where my frustration comes from, this is a perfect example of a team that just doesn't seem to get it, and I don't understand why not.
Just don't get it, do you? You don't.
So the Tennessee Titans, like I said, just finally since 2019 have had such struggles traded and did something. All they had to give up was a 7th-round pick for a guy who's 86.5% from field goals. Do you know that the Tennessee Titans are an NFL worst 74 field goals since 2019? Their 102 attempts are the absolute fewest, and they've only made 72% of their field goals since 2019. They're one of only 2 teams lower than 80%. So they are without question had the worst issues with their kicking situation of any team in the NFL for the last 5 years. And if they would have addressed it, they probably not just would have been in the playoffs, they most likely could and should have been a top seed. Do you know that the Tennessee Titans last year were 7-10? Do you know that they lost 3 games by 3 points or less and 3 other games by 5 or less? When they lost to the Giants, they lost 21-20. When they lost to the Chiefs, they lost 17-20. When they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, they lost 16-20. When they lost to the Chargers, they lost 14-17. When they lost to the Texans, they lost 14-19. When they lost to Jacksonville, they lost 16-20. So once again, that's 3 games by 3 points or less and 3 other games by 6 points or less. If they would have won just the games with their 72% field goal kicking and not addressing an issue that has been glaring since 2019, where they have had the fewest attempts and the least percentages made and the least made because they don't want to do anything of value to fix one of, I consider, a huge problem. If they would have fixed those problems and they win just 3 of those games, they're in the wild card. Suddenly they're 10-7, they're in the wild card. If they have gotten through all those games 6 points or less and you flip the script on that and they had decent kicking, they would have been 13-4 and number 2 in the AFC last year, the competitive AFC. But instead they waited 5 years and now they finally spend a 7th-round pick to get a field goal kicker. This is just, you guys, what? I really, you're going to have to explain this to me.
Explain that to me. Explain it to me, God. Explain it to me, God. I want it explained to me now, Jesus.
You have 7 rounds and all sorts of picks every year. Why are you not focusing, if you're every franchise in the NFL, on doing just as much as your quarterback? And I would argue that's the next biggest position of like, dude, I want to solidify this spot for the next 10 to 15 years. If you get a franchise quarterback, the idea is at least for the next 7 years, we're good. As long as he stays healthy, we've got a guy that's going to help us in all sorts of ways and help us win. I don't see how the kicker is always the one who gets the shaft, who gets, replaced for a cheaper guy, who, veterans struggle to find a place. If they have one bad game or season, they get kicked off the team. And I mean, meanwhile, quarterbacks, like Prescott, Murray, all these other guys can have years and just struggles and all sorts of issues. Running backs can go down left and right. Offensive linemen couldn't block, anything coming their way, and they'll give themselves year after year after year. Yet a kicker has one bad game and he's gone. And I don't get it. I don't understand what you're doing.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
So I saw a question, and this is the last one I want to ask about this, and then I'm going to move on from this topic. But just to explain to you just how stupid and wrong you are to not value the kicker, whether you're the NFL GMs, whether you're just average Joe Sixpacks fan, or whether you're just someone listening to something right now and never even heard of kickers. Let me explain to you how wrong and just close-minded and silly you are. I saw another simple question.
Simple question.
The question was proposed. If there was a college kicker, let's just say there was a college kicker out there currently that could hit 65 to 70-yard field goals at a 90% clip, where would and should he be drafted? The responses that I saw were so alarmingly stupid. It makes me wonder, you guys watch this sport all day. I'll admit, this is my second favorite sport. Even I know. Are you nuts? So if a kicker could kick 65 to 70 yards at a 90% rate, would and should he be a first overall pick? With almost unanimous, it was no. It was like, oh, that's ridiculous. Why would you waste your pick? Why would you could get this and that for this top pick. Let me just break this down so you guys can comprehend. If you had a kicker who could, let's just say, which would be, this is also, by the way, this is getting into hypotheticals. This is getting into unheard of. But even now, to see that you guys wouldn't understand the value of this lets me know just how much you don't value the position. If you had a kicker who from 65 to 70 yards was at a 90% clip, which would be unheard of, Justin Tucker even from 60 plus is a career 25%. But if you had that option, do you understand that all you would have to do every game is get to the 50-yard line to be in scoring position? The average team, just so you know, gets to the 25-yard line, of course, off the kickoff, and if they have just an average success rate of a successful first down is 17 yards. So an average successful series length is 17 yards. You usually start at the 25-yard line. That means that all you would have to do, on average, when you got the ball, if you had a kicker who was 65, 70 yards and 90%, all you would have to do is have 1.5 successful series to be in scoring range every time you touched the ball. So if you caught the ball at the 25 and you had one successful average rate of 17 yards, then half of that, you would be somewhere around the 45 to 50-yard line. Meaning that 9 out of 10 times now, the guy that you don't think is worth a first-round pick is going to score a point for you. That means on an average, let's say you have 11 possessions a game, and let's say half the time you make it to the 50-yard line or somewhere around there. He would average 2.7 first of all, points at 90%, after an average 1.5 successful series. So at 11 possessions, and you got half of those right, he would give you, by himself, 14.85 points per game. That's almost 15 points per game from your kicker alone, when all you have to do on an average of 11 possessions is get to the 50-yard line half the time. I'm going to really let that, sit in your noodle for a second here. All you would have to do once you receive the ball is have an average successful series for a first down and not even get to another first down. You can just get to like a third and short, and you would be able to score 90% of the time, which means that, again, 14 to 15 points per game. So if you scored 2 touchdowns just outside of that, if all you had was a paltry offense that gave you 2 touchdowns outside of what your kicker would give you with the numbers that we provided, that means you would average around 28 to 29 points per game. You would be tied with the Kansas City Chiefs for the number 1 offense every year. All you'd have to do is score 2 touchdowns outside of your kicker, and you would be right at the top of the NFL with the all-time offense of the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes and Kelsey and all those boys out there. You would put up the same points per game as they would, yet I hear y'all say with confidence and with just, complete, just arrogance that you would tell me that if I could give you a kicker that from 65 to 70 yards could kick 90% field goals, is he worth like a top 1, top 2, 3 pick? You would tell me no, and I really just don't understand how you could be that just dumb. I mean, what do you want me to say other than it's a really stupid take when I gave you the hypothetical of all hypotheticals at 90% from 65 to 70 yards, but you guys disvalue the kicker so much, and you just have it in your head that it's a simple job that anyone can do it. Why would you waste a first overall pick? Because he's going to give you 15 points a game. All you got to do is get to the 50-yard line half the time. If there was a wide receiver or a running back that I could promise would give you 15 points, basically 2 touchdowns a game, would you be willing to spend a number 1 overall pick on that? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely you would. Now, the chances are they're going to have much more likelihood of getting hurt than a kicker would, but somehow the 15 points per game guaranteed from... Do you see what I'm saying? Do you understand just, I guess, my point? And I can move on. It's a really dumb take. If you were to be given that situation, but like I said, even just a guaranteed Justin Tucker, I still got a lot of y'all going, no, it's not worth the first round. I am giving you the future. I am telling you it's guaranteed, and you still go, no, that's dumb. Why would I want a kicker? Kickers are pointless and silly. 24% of all games in the NFL from 2000 to 2022 were decided by 3 points or less. Tennessee Titans could have gone from 7-10 to 13-4 if they would have won the games that they lost by anywhere from 6 to 3 points or less if they didn't have the all-time worst kicking for the last 5 years. Yet somehow when I say, man, a kicker is something that's valuable, it's something you need, and again I watch in the offseason as all these idiots are trying to go with rookies or get rid of guys too soon or, being afraid to take a pick because God forbid you pick a kicker before the 5th or 6th round. It is just it's mind-boggling. It makes me want to put my mind in a bottle because you guys are so just off on that topic. You're off. Respect the kickers, man. Respect the gosh dang fripping flickety-flop kickers. Don't want to cuss. But you guys are dumb. You're not the only ones that are dumb. Athletes are dumb. Well, not all athletes, but a lot of athletes are dumb. I want to talk about Noah Lyles.
That's dopey talk. That's dopey dum-dum talk.
Yeah. Let me get into this. So, again, I wouldn't say that all athletes are dumb, but there's a lot. There's a lot of dumb athletes. It's really... Let me be fair. Okay, I think there's actually a lot of smart athletes. Matter of fact, the IQ test that is... there were studies shown where IQ test for athletes is actually higher to the average median person. But maybe they're just, because they have to focus like 80, 90% of their day on their sport, especially if they're pro athletes, that, they don't have time to really learn about the rest of the world or math or science or politics, which is why most of the time I take an athlete's opinion with a grain of salt. Fact is, most athletes, at least when they speak, come across incredibly stupid, and Noah Lyles, the sprinter, definitely put his foot in his mouth with the last thing he just discussed, saying that the NBA shouldn't be called world champions, and he just had a whole thing here. But just to give you an overall perspective, again, it's not that athletes can't and don't have the capabilities. Maybe it's more fair to say that they just don't have the exposure and the time to learn about things outside of their sports because they're such a hyper focus on doing what they do. But athletes in general can be and come across pretty stupid when they speak, especially about anything outside of their sport or anything that is foreign to just what they spend 90% of their day on. I saw this video. This is fun. This is just an example of like a lot of teammates I had and, hearing athletes talk. This was some guy just asking one of his teammates about matter, about how certain things matter, and this is just a shining example. Then we'll get into Noah, what I'm talking about.
What are the 3 common states of matter?
Wait, what are the 3 matters of the world? I'm gonna give it to California.
Let him go.
California is common, Texas is common, and Florida. Or New York.
Matter is...
The universe. The galaxies. Saturn.
3! Give me 1, please!
United States.
Fuck! The 3 common states of matter are solid, liquid, and fucking gas.
Oh my God, Texas! There's so much to break down in that. Texas is common. What the hell? What was he? He tried.
Got a good brain.
But yes, athletes are dumb. I mean, I can give you a long list of dumb things that athletes have said. And it's a long one. I mean, just to give you some of my favorites, Bill Cowher, former coach of the Steelers, said one time, "We're not attempting to circumcise rules instead of circumvent. Not attempting to circumcise the rules here, all right, guys? We're doing our thing." Greg Norman once said, "I owe a lot to my parents, especially my mother and father." I would like to think that those would be the one. Yeah, I like to, shout out my parents, especially mom and dad, when it comes to the group of parents. There was a guy for NC State named Chuck Nevitt who once said, "My sister's expecting a baby, and I got to get out of here. I don't know if I'm going to be an uncle or an aunt," which is also just... Joe Theismann once upon a time said that there's nobody in football that should be called a genius. No, a genius is a guy like Norman Einstein. These are all, by the way, legit quotes. Marlins Mike Cameron once, decided to say out loud that he knew the sun has been there for 500, 600 years, give or take. Give or take 500, 600. It's been around that long, right? It's been around. Oil Can Boyd, a famous pitcher back in the 80s, was in Cleveland. And there was a fog delay, and he actually said to reporters, "Well, that's what they get for building a park on an ocean. That's what they get for building a park on an ocean in Cleveland, which would cause a fog delay because..." I mean, Shaquille O'Neal had a ton, in case you forgot about a good old Shaquille O'Neal. They once asked him if he visited the Acropolis while he was in Greece for the Olympics, and he said, we went to a lot of clubs, but I can't remember if that was one of them. He later tried to say that it was a joke. Who knows? He does have that dry delivery. Charles Shackelford once played in the NBA, said, I can go right, I can go left, I'm amphibious. Andy Van Slyke, Phillies pitcher, or player for the Phillies, once heard about a switch pitcher, which means he could throw with his left or right hand. He even said, I heard he's amphibious. Does that mean he can pitch underwater? Athletes are not the brightest, the sharpest knives in the drawer, or whatever you want to call it. But, getting back to Noah Lyles and Shaq and the Olympics, let's get into it. So Noah Lyles is a world record-setting sprinter for the United States this year, and a damn good sprinter. Noah Lyles, before I piss on him for being an idiot in what he said, is a very, 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 very good sprinter. He's the first one since Usain Bolt in 2015 to win the 100 and the 200 at the Worlds. This was in Budapest this past weekend. He set a new American record for the 100. It was the third fastest time ever. So Noah Lyles is a hell of a sprinter. I don't know how good he is at anything else, as he really put his foot in his mouth when they were asking him about being world champions. And right now with FIBA basketball and everything going on, somehow he got on the topic of NBA champions being world champions. And this was, and the weirdest part was that he really seemed to have thought this out before he had said it. I don't think this was just off the tongue, off the top. But he tried to pontificate a little bit about the NBA being called world champions. And it just wasn't a good look, man. Just wasn't a good look.
World champion of what? The United States? The thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times. But that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
All right, there's a lot.
And that's about the dumbest thing I heard any fool say ever.
I'll try to move past the they ain't no flags and some of the misnomers there, and just even the part when he says I like the U.S. and then he had to clarify sometimes, which could get me off into a whole nother issue there. But what he basically is trying to say, and he picked by far the worst sport to use this as an example, is that, look, we actually compete against the world. These other pros that call themselves champions, they don't deserve to be called world champions. But the National Basketball Association, by any level of comparison or measurement, is by far the world champions. There is no other professional sport I can think of, baseball even, that really tries to and really does bring out the best and just brings in from all countries. Everyone all goes without question to the National Basketball Association. It is without debate, without discussion, the one place I would argue of anything he could have brought up that is truly an international sport. To give you an idea, this was just released the other day. Let me put up this picture in case you think I'm just making stuff up. Where is my... Here it is. The international players just last year, there was 120 of 400 and something international players from 40 countries in the NBA last year. There was a record number of players from Canada, 22, Australia, 10. There was 9 from France, 6 from Germany, 5 each from Nigeria, Serbia, and Spain. Toronto has 8 international players, that is league leading, but Dallas, Indiana, and Sacramento each have 7. Oklahoma City and Utah each have 6. That's half of their roster is constructed with the best international players they could find. All 30 teams in the NBA feature at least one international player. There is really no worse example he could have brought up than the NBA when it comes to trying to make his point about, how dare they be world champions. The NBA is world champions, ding dong.
No!
Even the top players, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Embiid. Now you got Wemby coming out here. Nikola Jokic, the reigning, defending champion right now. The top 5 and the number 1 pick overall players in the NBA currently are all foreign players. Yet this asshat decided to go out of his way and try to speak. And not only that, he had his buddy double down here, Sha'Carri Richardson, in case you forgot about her. That was the one who got suspended in the last Olympics because she ate a weed cookie and then wanted to try to say it was because her mom died and all that. And, it was kind of sad. It wasn't exactly a performance enhancer.
I love weed, okay? I love it.
But she goes out and tries to support Noah here and says, I'm standing with Noah on this one. The organization have players from different countries, but they do compete against different countries. You have to go against the world in order to be a world champion. And, there's nothing better than, I appreciate the support, but you couldn't, this is just a dumb, there's just nothing true or arguable in this situation. There's really nothing. This is such a just asshat comment. It's hard to almost understand how you could be on the other side of this issue. Even if you took a Euro League, look at the best team last year, Real Madrid was the one who won the Euro League. If you took the best club teams on earth, and they're mostly just people you never heard of that couldn't make the NBA, or guys that kind of were in the NBA for a year or two and then panned out. The best player they got is Rudy Fernandez, who's just getting older. Now, he was a dog once upon a time, but that's one guy. Then you got guys like Sergio Llull, Facundo Campazzo, his Hezonja, Mario Hezonja. These guys are nice, but they were role players at best at the NBA level, in an organization. Once again, every team has international players. Some have over half. The top 5 players in the NBA are all foreign. The number 1 pick overall was a foreign player this year. And I got to listen to this ding-dong, not only kind of crap on America, which was already frustrating. I like America at times, but then make the stupid-ass point. I'll just play it one more time here. This is just a bad take overall. Again, athletes sometimes don't need to be asked their opinions about anything outside of really what they do. You can ask them, but they're going to say shit like this.
World champion of what? The United States? The thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA Finals, and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times. But that ain't the world.
All right,
that is not the world.
I've had enough. Especially saying, I love the U.S. at times. If anything, Olympics would be a shining example of where our ideals actually do seem to play out. You want to make the argument about the country not being where it needs to be. I'm not the one to have that argument with you. Fair enough. But if you look at the Olympics specifically, Daniel Tosh did a bit about this years ago. You look at the female gymnastics team. We're the only nation out of the entire, everyone you're going to see that'll have a black girl, a white girl, an Hispanic girl, a Samoan girl. We'll have multiracial backgrounds all throughout our, female gymnastics team. And what happens when you see China? What do you see? See a bunch of little Chinese girls, don't you? And that's it.
Let's talk about Chinese.
You don't see any black girls. You don't see any white girls. You don't see any Mexican girls. If there is ever proof of the melting pot that is the United States, whether we're all being treated equally is another discussion. But just the idea that the Olympics, if there's one place where we seem to be at least trying to, or, through just necessity to win, get it right. We're the only country you will consistently see multiracial teams that, on average. Now, you're going to see them obviously in other places, but the United States by far is, shows itself at the melting pot at the Olympics. So for this sprinter to not only make this stupid ass comment of, the NBA not being the world champions when he just doesn't have an argument to back him up, but then, to have to throw in well, I like the country at times, and, Sha'Carri Richardson and her whole issues going on, and just, even Popovich, I forgot about this. Popovich has said this multiple times also as well. He's been very anti-United States in a lot of ways as far as a lot of stuff that he said over the years. And he says it doesn't make sense for an NBA team to call themselves world champions. I don't remember anybody playing anybody outside our borders to get that tag, which is just unbelievable hypocrisy considering that Manu, Tim, and Tony Parker are all not American. His big 3, along with Boris Diaw and others, he lived off-playing international players, yet somehow he has an issue with trying to give. Do you get my point? It's whatever. I mean, you want to be dumb, be dumb. You want to say dumb things, say them. Who am I? Who am I to stop you? You want to say the dumbest things ever, say them.
And that's about the dumbest thing I heard any fool say ever.
NBA, clearly of any professional sport, should be able to call themselves world champion. Let's move on. Real quick. I had mentioned this when I was mentioning sexy headlines. This might be the Hard Knock effect. This might be a little bit of that. But Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets look pretty sexy to me. This is obviously, a little bias as far as just seeing the behind the scenes and everything. But, man, Aaron Rodgers, you can just see it. If you watch Hard Knocks, and a lot of you don't, and you should, because it really is pretty entertaining. When Aaron Rodgers walked through the door, that organization changed. Aaron Rodgers himself, whether it's, the darkness retreat, whether it's maturity, whether it's having to go to another team, whether it's being under the bright lights in New York, maybe because the cameras are on, seems to have really just accepted the leadership spot and is doing an absolutely, in my opinion, phenomenal job of towing the line of when to yell, when not to, when to mentor, like the Wilson kid, or the backup QB they got out there, and his name's escaping me for whatever reason. But you get the idea that, when Aaron Rodgers walked through the door, he just all of a sudden did what a quarterback is supposed to do, in my opinion. In my opinion, a quarterback's number one job in life is to make the rest of the team believe, and that's it. I mean, obviously, you got to be able to throw the ball. Obviously, you got to be able to do a lot of things. But when you want to break down the importance of the quarterback, it is the biggest spot in all of professional sports that's not a coach or a general manager, as far as you are the face, you are what emphasizes, you are what makes your team. When they walk in the room, whether it's your offensive line, defensive line, special teams, whoever, your job is to make them all believe, if I do my job, he'll do his. That is, to me, in the end, that's what a good quarterback does. He makes the rest of his team believe that if they do their job, they will win, because we know he's going to do his job. We have faith in him. We trust him. It's a leadership position. I mean, I think, Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday. And let me play this. This was a great speech when Willie Beeman had all the talent in the world and wasn't understanding the leadership position. And let me put the picture up here. This was to me one of the greatest speeches. Everyone talks about the game of inches part, and that is a great speech too. Al Pacino has a ton of great speeches in it here. But when he's finally trying to lecture Willie before he gets it about the importance of the quarterback spot, I thought this was beautifully said. Beautifully said.
You're not some flash in the pan, corner or receiver. You're a goddamn quarterback! You know what that means? It's the top spot, kid. It's the guy takes the fall. It's the guy everybody's looking at first, the leader of a team, who will support you when they understand you, who will break their ribs and their noses and their necks for you because they believe, because you make them believe. That's a quarterback.
Tell him, Al. Tell him, Al. I mean, that is brilliantly said, and that is exactly what A-Rod I've seen so far. I mean, I've seen him just the effect of him from the coaching staff down has been phenomenal. And I'm telling you right now, Garrett Wilson is going to go insane. Their defensive line that they already have there with Williams and crew is probably the best in the league. They now had Dalvin Cook with Hall in the backfield. The Jets, I mean, look, they're in a tough sled here. I mean, with the Kansas City Chiefs and the AFC being the way that it is, and so many other teams coming up. But I am telling you right now, they're at least the Kings of New York. Do not bring up the Giants to me right now. Unless Rodgers gets hurt or there is a major injury, the Jets have already, in my opinion, overtaken the Giants in their situation with Saquon having issues, and and Daniel Jones being kind of what he is. And really, that's what a lot of it boils down to: Daniel Jones versus Aaron Rodgers, and seeing the difference in just what a quarterback, a real franchise quarterback, does all the way from the top down to the bottom when it comes to inspiring and making the rest of his team believe that if I do my job, he'll do his. You are watching this in real time here with HBO, and it has been beautiful to watch. It's been a very good, entertaining season of Hard Knocks. I don't know why people piss on Hard Knocks so much. I love Hard Knocks. He was actually talking smack. This is during the Giants game as they were kind of proving their point in the preseason. A-Rod getting an actual preseason start for the first time since 2019 and was already in preseason, midseason form, talking trash to players out there. I thought this was good.
Bootleg out to the left, flipping it left. McCole Hardman.
Bro, that. Show some respect, bro. Come on, what the f is that? 5 damn steps? I don't even know who you are, bro. I don't know who you don't? I never heard of you. Let's go.
And the officials having to separate Jihad Ward and Aaron Rodgers. Drops back, lobs one, front left pylon. It is caught. Garrett Wilson. That's a Jet touchdown.
Poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear.
I never heard of you. Then I gave him the line that's uncome back with a bow. I said, I don't even know who you are. But he said, I don't know who you are. I said, both.
Yeah, and I mean, just the swag, man. Just that swag when a guy like an A-Rod walks in the room and just believes his own bullshit and is able to back it up. You just see it. You see everyone just get turned on by it, man. Pause, pun intended. Whatever you got to do, you can see the rest of everyone else in that organization being like, yeah, we're about to get down, baby. We got this guy on our side. You're all in big trouble. Their football, are sticking out of their pants. He's just got the swag. He's just, old hat, been there, done that. None of this impresses him. You're not going to phase him. If he stays healthy, the Jets are going to be a force. Garrett Wilson's going to be a force this year. Watch out for the Jets. Jets, Jets. Giants, have fun. It'll be cute. NFC sucks. You might be able to make a little bit of a push. I don't think you're going to go anywhere past maybe the first round. Daniel Jones versus A-Rod, man. Daniel Jones versus A-Rod. Just got to have the swag, man. You got to have it. Dan Marino had it back in the day. Let me throw this out, and then I'm going to get to some more funny videos. Dan Marino had that swag, man. This is back. He was doing some live read for something. And, this is what, when you're a star QB and you know it, you don't take no mess. You don't take mess from some defensive lineman in the preseason taking too many steps to get a cheap hit on you, and you certainly don't take no mess from some asshat behind the camera who's telling you didn't get your live read right. Check out, this is like from the 80s, Dan Marino.
We'll be announcing a winner later tonight.
Okay, it's a little long, and I think you flubbed on that last.
Did not flub at all.
No, it wasn't a flub.
There was no fucking flub. It was not a flub.
You want to see that playback?
No, come on, let's do it. Fuck it.
Take 3, 25-second version, and action.
Hi, I'm Dan Marino from the Miami Dolphins. Welcome to Visa NFL Quarterback Club Week on. I hope you've enjoyed your Thanksgiving Day. We have more NFL action on this Sunday starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. But tonight, you'll get a chance to be my backup quarterback for a day. You'll get round trip, airfare, and tickets to a game, a complete uniform, and a chance to meet me. Stay tuned. I'll have details on how to enter, and we'll be announcing a winner later tonight.
Perfect.
Fuck it, send it in.
You want to see playback on it?
Nope. I don't want to see shit.
I gotta love it, man. Better. Hey, at least he read it. I mean, I'm with him. He read that take all the way through. Could have, some better inflection here or there. But overall, you're tired, you're ready, you're Dan. You got chicks to bang. It's Miami, for Christ's sake. You're the star of the world. You got to do your thing. Way better than Floyd Mayweather.
And I'm Floyd Mayweather, and I've joined Heart Radio for the show. Your stripes.
Too soon?
Okay. I'm Floyd Mayweather, and I've joined Heart.
Learned to read.
Sorry. So A-Rod's doing his thing. Kickers are undervalued. Noah Lyles is a world-class idiot. I think we covered all that. We're having some fun. Let's go ahead and end the show the way I always love to, with some silly and fun videos.
You seen it? You seen it? Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
Always just go to Tricky Guy Sports on YouTube. This is the bonus feature part of the show. I show you funny videos and react to them, whether they're cringeworthy, laughable, whatever, anywhere in between. We just like to have a good time, then call it a day. Let's start off with some dumb golfers. Why not? Dumb golfer. This is a guy trying to jump a puddle. And this one about as good as would be expected when you look at him.
With the golf.
First of all, just look at this guy. with his guts sticking out. He's still got his clubs on. I'm saying that water is at least 3.5, 4 feet. And I did not think he was a long jumper or any sort of track star back in his heyday. And so he decided to turn the camera on and impress his buddies, and it went about as good as you'd think.
With the golf bug out is crazy.
Yeah, man, you got that jump, buddy. You got that. Nice job. Want to see that one more time? I sure do. Come on, man. You can clear that easy. Good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Boink. Dun 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 dun. He's an idiot. We also have another golfing idiot. And as usual, I have to keep pointing out, it's all white people. I don't care what you say. This is, this white people, we're dumb. We do a lot of dumb stuff. You can't accept that. That's your problem.
It's all right, because it's all white.
Here's some white ass hat on a boat deciding to try to hit a driver off of a foam part of the boat because he's brilliant. Get this drive on camera. I got this. Party foul. Party foul. Idiot. And there was another one. Let me see. Do I have the other dumb golfer there? We can go ahead and move on. This is one I got to do real quick just because this is related to football and stupidity and choosing violence. With NFL season just a week away, shout out to this lady, wherever she is, wherever game this was. Derrick Henry has nothing on this lady here. Some lady in the stands on the phone. That's really all I know. Maybe she is, a distant cousin of Derrick. I don't know. All I know is she don't take no mess when she's on the phone, especially from some skinny little girl in front of her at a football game. This was just hilariously violent and sad, is all I can say. I'm gonna no. Oh, really? Boing! That girl was not having it, man. Getting her grill, talking smack. Goodbye. Goodbye. I love the lady screaming. It's great background. I mean, she went a good 5 feet. I don't know who she was talking to. She did not break stride. That's the best part, too. She did not break stride from her conversation. Just, Yeah, hold on one second. Move it, bitch. Anyways, yeah, so the game's 13. She just kept going, man. Good for her. F around and find out. F around and find out. This one is especially sad just because this lady effed around and found out you can't just blindly trust your GPS. Oh my God. People today, you're killing me with this. I understand the navigational system is a useful tool, but the overdependence, we're becoming more and more reliant on machines to make just common sense decisions for us, is becoming very alarming. Pun intended. Machines, alarms, whatever you got to do. The inability to not use common sense anymore when the machine told you to do something. This is in Hawaii. Some lady, her GPS told her take a right into a god dang ocean, and she did it because the GPS told her to. Because if the machine tells you to, you follow the instructions. If the phone says do this, you got to do it, right? Unbelievable. Look at this lady here drive into the water.
What is going on?
Look at this. GPS said turn right.
Pretty sure that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. You think? The phone said, is this not Ocean Drive? Is this not Ocean Drive? What, the GPS said turn right. She's genuinely confused at what went wrong.
Shit.
It's a good thing they're there. It could have gone a lot worse. I don't think they understand just how close they were to like real problems, man. I mean, seriously, if that lady doesn't get the help and she just, sat there with that same dumb look on her face and just went all the way underwater. Once that car gets underwater, it starts going pretty quick, man. That could have turned from just a funny video to a here lies so-and-so, GPS said put her here, and that's what we did. GPS put her 6 feet under. Jesus Christ. Got to do it, right? Got to do what the phone says. Got to do what the phone says. Unbelievable. Is that it, or do I have any more? Let me see if I have one more good one here. I'm going to bring you this one. This one's a little bit messed up. I'm not going to lie. This is probably going to be the one that's going to need the most, warning ahead of time. Somewhere, and this could be maybe a cautionary tale to parents allowing their daughters to play football, or, this kind of silliness where we are trying to somehow blur the lines between the male and female athlete, which in some sports isn't so dangerous, but in football, in UFC, boxing, there's certain sports where we really got to be careful with this, like women can do whatever the men can do, because some women can beat some men. When you put them, when we put the top against the top, it's not just unfair, it's dangerous. And this is just some backyard thing where they're doing the football drill or whatever. But just to give you an idea, and I'm going to warn you, the video is a little disturbing. When people try to nicely explain to you that some sports really don't need to be integrated, even with these inspirational videos, are like, oh, my daughter's on the high school football team. If you catch the wrong one in the wrong mood, this could happen. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. Oh, yay. I mean, dude, there's a reason you don't see me going out to like the USC campus and being like, I want to be in a football drill. There's levels of strength and speed that even I know as a guy that I am not, it's just not my thing, man. It's just something I need to avoid. I'll show it to you again, man. This is, sometimes it ain't right. Oh, God. Ay. I mean, and she's, got a little bit of, weight to her and some speed. I'm sure she thought that, hey, we're about the same size. It's not just size to size. It's strength, it's muscle mass, it's bone density. And one last time, God. Be careful out there. Be careful. I hate to end on that note, but I'm going to because I'm out of videos. I got to go. Again, just be careful. Be safe. I love you. Stay away from that dude, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.